Hi, second grade. Today we are working on Skills, Unit 5, Lesson number 2. Taking a peek at our learning targets, what will we be able to accomplish before the end of our lesson today? First, we will be able to read words with the O spelling, making a couple of different sounds for that spelling. We will be able to sort words using different sounds, and we will be reading the story called The Beginning in our new reader. Let's take a look at our spelling tree. We already know the U spelling as in up, as in nuts, or as in but. Those all use the letter U to say You also learned that the letter O makes a sound like ah. For example, box, fox, and mom. You've also learned that the letter O sometimes says O, like in the words no, so, and go. Today, you're going to learn about how the spelling O can also make the sound You might be thinking, what? How does the letter O say But let's look at some examples. On our sound card, notice our sound card is green. Remember, sound cards are green when they represent vowel sounds. Green means go, and vowel sounds let air out of your mouth. This uses the spelling O to say for the word sun. This is sun as in a child that is a boy, not sun like the sunshine. We also notice that the power bar takes up about almost half of this card, so this is a common sound for the spelling O. We're going to practice reading some words that use the letter O to make the sound. I want you to repeat the words after me. Cover. Your turn. Mother. Your turn. One. Brother. Notice I'm saying the sound to remind myself that the O is making the sound on each of these slides. Month. We're going to take a peek at a word sort and ask ourselves, which words use the letter U to say like bug? Which words use the letter O to say like other? Now I can't drag and drop on this screen, but let's take a peek. Our first word is rush. Does rush use the letter U or the letter O to say It uses the letter U, so it will go in the as in bug column. How about bunch? Does bunch use a U or an O to say Bunch also uses a U. Nice job. How about the word month? Does month use U or O to say It uses an O. I would put month over on this side. Very good. How about mother? Does mother use U or O to say Mother uses an O. Excellent. How about truck? Truck uses a U. Good job. Money? Money uses an O. How about trust? Trust uses the letter U. What about sun? Sun uses the letter O to say like other. What about ugly? This is one of our spelling words. Good. Ugly uses the letter U to say How about until? Until also uses the letter U to say Unkind. Unkind uses the letter U to say and front. Front uses the letter O to say Very good. All of these word sorts are on your Google form today, and you're going to let me know which letter makes the sound in each word. Is it U as in bug or O as in other? Good work. So you guys have learned a lot about sounding out words, using different sound spelling combinations to help you sound out those words. And you are now ready to start reading words that use tricky spellings. Remember, tricky words are rule breakers, or even reading spellings that you haven't learned yet. You have a chance to practice on 2.2. I want you to practice reading all of these words on your own. Read them out just in a list. Okay? Sometimes you're going to come to a word that you have to sound out on your own, and it's your job to use your very best skills, such as thinking about tricky spellings and chunking syllables to sound out a word. You should also use context clues to see if the word that you sounded out makes sense in the sentence in which it's used. When you use a context clue, you use the rest of the sentence to help you understand, does that word fit? Does that make sense, the word that I read there? It's your job to be a word detective. So go ahead and pull out your magnifying glass. You get to be word detectives by using the skills that you've learned so far this year in sounding out words and matching them to their sound spelling correspondences. Okay? We are going to be starting a brand new reader today, and we're going to be reading the story called The Beginning. So the front cover of our new reader is called Sir Gus, and this reader is all about a knight named Sir Gus. A knight is a type of soldier that lived a long time ago during a period called the Middle Ages. The Middle Ages is a proper noun because it's a specific name of a time period. That's why it's capitalized. The Middle Ages took place in Europe before Columbus came to North America and before pilgrims traveled to America. So knights were often soldiers for specific kings, and they helped the kings to defend their kingdom. That's part of their job. The term sir was used to refer to a knight in the Middle Ages who had earned a certain distinction or honor in serving their king. So it's an honor to be called Sir something. For example, Sir Gus. We're going to take a peek at the table of contents, and we are going to find the page that the chapter called Sir Gus and His Stuff begins. Now, this is not officially a chapter, but Sir Gus and His Stuff goes through some of the things that Sir Gus carries with him as a knight. Okay, and we're going to look at some of the pictures and talk about what they mean. So this section has illustrations and pictures of things from the Middle Ages. Sometimes you might hear the Middle Ages referred to as medieval times, a period of time when there were knights and kings and queens. Knights really did exist in real life, but in a lot of fairy tale stories, knights are fictional characters who did things like fight dragons and break magic spells. So even though knights really did exist in real life, this reader, Sir Gus, is fictional. And I want you to be paying close attention while we're reading Sir Gus over the next few weeks to pay attention to, how do you know it's fictional? What happens in the story that makes it fake, made up? You're going to hear some crazy things. So let's take a look at the pictures in the story. Since knights were in charge of protecting others from their enemies, they needed weapons to help them do so. And they had some weapons that we may not have heard of before. The first one is called a lance. A lance is a long pole that knights would use, usually while they were on horseback. A shield. A knight might carry a shield in front of his body to help protect himself. A spear is a pointed and sharp weapon. The word spear is kind of cool because it's both a noun and a verb. A spear is a noun because it's a thing that you hold, but spear is also a verb if you say, I am going to spear my hamburger meat with my fork, right? Spear is something that you do, but spear is also a noun. So this is where your context clues come in. A sword. This weapon is used by knights to fight their enemies. Armor is made of metal. Knights wore armor also to protect themselves. A castle is a large place where the kings and queens lived. There were thick walls that were used for castles in order to protect against their enemies. Fears. Fears are things that people are afraid of. So if you're afraid of spiders or if you're afraid of the dark, you would say that's a fear. Some of the spellings we're going to come to. the spelling O that says the sound. For example, from and of. And then the EA spelling that makes the E sound. See, peaceful, feasts, and fears. Let's take a peek at our vocab. The word odd, exactly what this photo is. Odd is something strange. Faint, when a person passes out, falling to the ground, and appears to be sleeping. And then absent-minded. If you're absent-minded, you're forgetful. You go, oh yeah. The next one is a phrase. Sir Gus always served him well. That means that Sir Gus always did the best he could for King Alfred. And then the last one is well known. If someone is well known, it means that they are fully or widely known. We're going to read today's story to find out if Sir Gus deserves the name Sir Gus the Fearless. Okay? So I want you to listen, and I will read the first chapter aloud to you. The first chapter is called The Beginning. Long before you were born, in a place we can no longer find, there was a king. King Alfred was his name. King Alfred was in charge of a land that stretched from the dark forests of the north to the sea in the south. The people of his land were very happy with him as their king. King Alfred liked to have fun. He liked parties and feasts. He was fair and kind and kept his people safe. King Alfred could not do all this by himself. He had 12 knights to help him keep his land peaceful and his people safe. These brave knights, well, sometimes they were brave, helped to keep bad things from happening. The most well-known knight of all was Sir Gus the Fearless. The king himself had given Sir Gus the name Fearless. This was an odd name, for Sir Gus was not entirely fearless. In fact, he had a lot of fears. Sir Gus was scared of the dark. He was scared of mice and bats and spiders. He did not like boats, and he could not swim. Shadows and loud noises made him faint. In fact, lots of things made Sir Gus faint. Sir Gus had all the things a knight must have. He had a shield and a lance. He had a spear and a sword. But Sir Gus liked a long soak in a bathtub better than a fight. Cats and horses made Sir Gus itch. Sometimes the itching was so bad that he would start jumping up and down. Sir Gus was rather absent-minded. He got lost a lot and could rarely tell which way to go. Sir Gus found it difficult to get up in the morning. He liked to sleep in, connection sign, so he was late most of the time. All in all, Sir Gus was a rather odd knight. But King Alfred did not see this. What he saw was that Sir Gus always served him well. All right. In your Google form today, your job is going to be to sort the words based on sound and spellings for O and U to make the sound. You're going to reread the beginning and answer a couple of these questions. These are the discussion questions. I'll do 2 wiggle cards. I want you to try out. Remember, wiggle card, you're going to read the phrase that's on screen and then act it out. Let's try them. First one, go ahead. Good. Cover your ears. Second one, and final one for today. This should only be some of you. It says bounce up and down if you have a brother. Excellent, excellent work. We are all set for our lesson today. Good work today. Go ahead and get started on your Google form and ask us if you need any help.